State officials continue to visit the region to address hurricane recovery efforts.
And campus gets back to seasonal celebrations.
These stories and more are up next on Carolina News Today. UNC System President Margaret Spellings visited Pembroke to thank campus volunteers for providing local assistance after Hurricane Matthew. She talked to students and employees about relief efforts and visited the Care Resource Center operated by the Office for Civic and Community Engagement. The office runs a food bank and organizes volunteers. Spellings also brought donated supplies from other schools in the UNC system. She praised UNC Pembroke for helping out even in the face of its own damage and loss of utilities for days.
It's terrific to see a community to come together as this one has in the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew. I mean, they've made a ton of progress in a short period of time. UNCP has probably, about $2 million worth of damage. Governor McCrory has asked me to serve on the Recovery Commission, and I intend to take what I've learned today back to that meeting on Tuesday morning. So I'm proud of y'all here in Pembroke, and we're here for the long haul.
As we saw, Spellings visited the Care Resource Center. CNT reporter David Brown tells us how they are still helping in the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew.
After the devastation of Hurricane Matthew, many people stepped in to help victims get their lives back on track. One of those volunteers was the Care Resource Center, an on-campus food pantry and clothing closet for students, faculty, staff, and community members. The Director of Community and Civic Engagement, Christy Poteet, explains how the Care Resource Center, a branch of the Community and Civic Engagement Department, responded immediately to the needs of resources and did all they could to help the community and students.
We loaded up the back of my pickup truck with food bags from the Care Resource Center. Students got in the back of the truck and we drove around town, drove around campus, and delivered food to people who were in need. After the immediate needs were met, the Care Resource Center accepted hundreds of donations from the community to restock the facility and continue on their regular schedule. Christy Poteet says the support of the community was greatly appreciated. The Care Resource Manager, Natural Breeden, tells us how UNCP students and the local community are still struggling to recover from the hurricane, but they rely on the Care Resource Center to help.
We do still have victims of the hurricane seeking help. Oftentimes it's not stated explicitly, so oftentimes they're just coming in just to get food, but many times, especially with community, they'll share their story. I had a specific student to come in last week who actually told her story about how she pretty much lost everything.
Local students that were displaced from their homes were helped by the Care Resource Center and moved on campus for temporary housing. For Carolina News Today, I'm David Brown.
Governor McCrory visited Lumberton last week to check on local conditions and follow up on relief efforts. He visited an elementary school still closed from damage, the water treatment plant, and Sandy Grove Baptist Church, where he addressed the media. He said Lumberton is full of resilient people.
And it's also a town with very, very strong leadership at the county level, the city level, the school level, and also the nonprofit and business level. They're working together as a team, and that's what's going to make a difference, and that's what's going to help this town recover as quick as possible. But Lumberton's going to go through a long battle ahead in recovering from this horrendous hurricane because there are a lot of people hurting right now in this town. We still have over 100 people in a shelter here, several hundred people in a shelter here. We have many houses that are beyond repair. We have public housing communities that were devastated by this storm.
Coming together to help one another through a difficult time, that's what one local high school wants everyone to keep in mind after this latest natural disaster.
The Raiders of Richmond Senior High School saw the effects of Hurricane Matthew and decided to take matters into their own hands.
The Tuesday following the floods in Lumberton, our faculty got together and decided that we needed to do something. And so we came up with a list of the most needed supplies. Christy Ransom put it on all kinds of social media, and before we even announced it at school, we had donations arriving the next morning.
The Beta Club showed up with donations. They decided to make this a drop site for their event, and I decided to partner with them because it just seemed like we could maximize the donations together. And so we donated about 15-20 cases of bottled water to the school.
A backup trailer was called in as the donations continued to pile up. Many students stayed after, lending their time and a helping hand to prepare the truck for travel. Students spoke to me about their trip to a distribution center in Fairmont where they delivered supplies such as water, toiletries, cleaning supplies, and pillows. The following week, the Raiders collected money for local schools in their conference with painted gold buckets and ribbons to spread Raider magic to Lumberton and Purnell Sweat.
All these people that were there were in desperate need of like simple things like toilet paper, a toothbrush, and some toothpaste or some soap. And it made me appreciate what I have because it's small and we take it for granted. But when we got there, we gave a 4-letter word to people. We gave hope.
For Carolina News Today, I'm Brianna Goins.
UNCP has gotten back into the swing of things. The Foreign Languages program hosted their annual Fall Festival. CNT reporter Stefan Lewis checked it out.
People gathered into the University Center Annex to join in the 2016 Hispanic Heritage Fall Festival, celebrating Dia de los Muertos. Dia de los Muertos is a worldwide celebration started in Mexico in 1880, honoring the dead. It's not a day to be sad, but a time to rejoice and remember those who have passed. Spanish language professor Milagros Lopez Fred says it's an important cultural celebration.
This is mainly to honor our loved ones, and it's a very important cultural celebration for Hispanic community, but mainly for the Mexican people and other countries too.
They started the festival with the parade. Participants gathered all the Hispanic flags from different countries and left the annex. They marched to the Dial building and back to the annex where they officially started the festival. It started off with an opening dance and then continued with presentations and tributes to Hispanic singers. Director of Foreign Languages, Cecilia Lara, was one of the festival organizers and the MC of the event. She told us what this event means to her.
It means the opportunity to share our culture with the whole university. We want to show them that we come from different places and we all have different cultures, and it feels good to be able to share that with everybody.
The Lambda Theta Alpha sorority performed a step routine. Many other activities included dancing, face painting of skeletons, food, and games. People really got into the spirit as they celebrated the Day of the Dead. For Carolina News Today, I am Stefan Lewis.
This week, Stefan also asked the question, what would you dress like to win free textbooks?
A Halloween costume contest was held in the UNCP bookstore. Students, faculty, and staff dressed in different kinds of costumes for the spirit of Halloween. The bookstore sent the invitation via email. Participants registered by writing their names on a card and waited in line until they were called. Then they told the judges who they were dressed as, and participants had 2 minutes to impress the judges by acting out the character that they portrayed. The bookstore assistant textbook manager, Josh Lane, told me what inspired him to choose his costume.
Obviously dressed as a football player, UNCP. It was kind of a quick thing, especially in honor of our football team's having a good season this year. So just something to do for them.
After the judges finished judging, participants would get their picture taken. The winner will be chosen by the judges and would be contacted via email. The winner will receive free textbooks for the spring semester or a choice of diploma frame. Second place will receive JBL Pulse 2 portable speakers, and third place will receive a free hoodie of choice. The new student abroad coordinator, Alex Brandt, was a judge for the contest. It was his way of meeting new students.
It was a volunteer position, so I thought, well, why don't I get out there since I'm new on campus? I took the job here about a month ago, and so I thought it'd be a great way to meet people.
The bookstore staff was in charge of the event. It's something they do every year for fun, for the students, and for Halloween. For Carolina News Today, I am Stefan Lewis.
The first place winner was Satori Swink, who dressed as the comic book character Professor Stein.
Was at UNC Chapel Hill this week, urging voters to support Hillary Clinton. He made a point to tell the audience how important their vote is in this election. During his speech, he also talked about voter suppression, saying that the U.S. is the only democracy that purposefully makes it harder for people to vote.
On campus, we asked students if they're going to vote or if they've already voted.
Yes, I'm going to vote, and yes, I'm registered. I'm going to vote back at home in my own county. But I'm definitely voting for Trump. My mom always taught me, don't listen to liars.
Are you a registered voter?
I am.
Have you voted?
I have.
And did you vote absentee or did you vote ballot?
I voted ballot.
You voted ballot? Where
Yeah.
at? Hometown?
Yeah, hometown.
Which is?
Benson.
Are you registered to vote?
Yes.
Have you voted?
Yes.
Who'd you vote for?
Hillary Clinton.
And could you maybe tell me one or two things on why you picked her over Donald Trump?
Well, I felt like it was picking the lesser of two evils this election, and I feel like with the stuff that Trump says about women, I couldn't vote for him.
Due to the effects of Hurricane Matthew, 3 Lumberton polling sites are being relocated for November 8th. The West Lumberton Hut site will be moved to the O.P. Owens Agriculture Building. The South Lumberton site will be moved to Lumberton Fire Department number 4. And the Bill Sapp site will be moved to the Pine Street Senior Center. The director of the Robeson County Elections Board says voters will be notified via signs and media about the change in locations.
A gas pipeline explosion in Alabama this week left 1 person dead and 4 injured. The fuel has since been cut off and it's expected to affect supplies up and down the East Coast. It's the same pipeline that leaked 300,000 gallons of oil back in September.
That accident caused gasoline shortages and price hikes in many states, including North Carolina. Governor McCrory published a video message to explain measures he's already taken to soften the blow from this latest interruption.
Carolina News Today returns after that message.
As a result of this anticipated disruption of gas and fuel, I'm immediately initiating 4 action steps. First, we have waived certain state requirements to help trucks transport additional fuel supplies. Second, we have put North Carolina's price gouging laws in effect to help protect North Carolinians from excessive gas prices at the pump. However, I do need to warn that there are some price increases due to additional shipping costs to get needed fuel to many states impacted by this pipeline disruption. And third, I have suspended non-essential travel for state employees. And fourth, in working with the Department of Agriculture, we have temporarily changed the state fuel formula that will allow us to bring in additional fuel supplies from other regions of the country. We do not yet know what the full impact on this explosion will be on North Carolina, but as Alabama authorities work to assess the damage, we will continue to communicate how long the impact will be in our state. Our hearts are with those who were injured and killed in this tragic incident, and I want to let the people of North Carolina know that we will continue to monitor the situation closely and take additional steps, if needed, to help our citizens and visitors.
The UNCP women's soccer team pushed past Clayton State in the Peach Belt quarterfinal matchup, winning 4-3 on Wednesday evening. The Braves saw leads of 3-0 and 4-1, but held off a late charge from the Lakers to advance to the conference semifinals. Sophomore Stacey Scott led the way for the Black and Gold with 2 goals, 4 shots on goal, and 1 assist. The Braves move on to North Georgia this weekend. The men's soccer team saw their season come to an end when they lost to Lander 4-0 in the Peach Belt quarterfinal round. Jordan Walshaw registered a team best 6 shots for the Braves. Goalkeeper Lucas Goose Mayo tallied 4 saves, but the Bearcats pulled away in the second half to secure the win. The women's basketball team is set to play Division I NC State University in an exhibition game Friday. CNT reporter Savannah Thompson talked to the team about how they prepared for this intimidating matchup.
The women's basketball team prepared for a game of their lifetime against NC State.
This game is the first game to be held in Reynolds Coliseum since the renovations. The girls have been prepping for this game through normal routine. They have been practicing and trying to get their mind right to compete. They prepare every day with weights and conditioning, and at practice, they try to be encouraging for one another. UNCP player Janisa Motley believes the game will go great if the girls have each other's backs and cheer each other on and are excited on the bench.
My mindset right to just go out and compete, do what we do, and just to have fun. I'm pretty sure this is not new to nobody on the team. We all been playing basketball for over a decade, even the freshmen, so it's just another game.
The girls were told not to spend a lot of time focusing on opponents and to just focus on themselves. Coach Haskins is trying to blend 6 new players, but there is 4 starters returning, which will help the team be strong and successful this season. UNCP women's basketball coach John Haskins doesn't have many expectations because it is a Power 5 school that is stronger, but they are looking to accomplish their inside goals.
We're going in to compete and try to win. We did the same thing against Campbell last year, and we actually won the game. We went to Wilmington and kind of got our brains beat in. So, but not looking so much at the scoreboard, but just, how are we doing possession by possession in terms of our intensity, in terms of our concentration, in terms of our execution.
He tells the girls to play as hard as they can and to execute to their best ability. Coach Haskins says what they do in practice every day is what they need to do at every game they play, not just at NC State. The team is all around prepared and ready for the fans to come out this season and support them. For Carolina News Today, I'm Savannah Thompson.
The Braves swim team put 5 swimmers in the water, but Campbell University's depth left the Lady Braves in their wake. Gina Zhang led the way for the Braves, tying for first in the 100-yard butterfly. Zhang also grabbed a 3rd-place finish in the 100 individual medley and 4th in the 500 freestyle. The Braves will be back in competition on November 18th when they swim at Chuan. The UNCP wrestling team kicked off their season last week with their annual Black and Gold Intra-Squad event. The Braves enter the season with a number 9 listing in the NCAA Super Region 2 rankings. Wrestling fans came out to the public event to show their support for the team. The Braves will open their regular season on November 5th when they host the annual Pembroke Classic on Lumbee Guaranty Bank Court. And that's all for sports. I'm Deja Dykes. Back to the studio.
That's all for this episode of Carolina News Today.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.